Hello. So we are. We got some boobage going on. Okay, it's coming. It's coming. Whatever. Listen, we are doing some self-education. Okay. Let me just clamp this. Some self-educations. I'm gonna put this. You can't really see what it is I'm doing. So I'm gonna put these over here. That's better because you can't see it over here. And then I'm gonna put up here self-study is what we're doing. And we're doing self-study of psychology. So when I study, I'm just gonna remove this because you can't see anything there anyways. When I study, I like to know the roots. I like to bring it back as far as possible. And that's also why I have this fascination for Kemet, because that's as far back as I've been able to trace my African ancestors. And yeah, it's just really fascinating to me to go as far back as possible and learn everything that we can learn about the people that were on this planet before us, like far long before us. So what Crash Course on YouTube is saying, psychology is a Latin word, and that it means the study of the soul. So if I could learn something like this, then I would probably learn Latin right now so that I could actually know, but we're gonna... Okay, and then there's a fixed box that says not Latin, but Greek. So from my history knowledge, I know that Greece and Kemet had relations, that they had meetings, and Pythagoras, the person we know like as the famous mathematician that we learned, let me see if I can show you guys, that we learned this about, and you got I think the abbreviations are the same in Norwegian and English. I don't know, but if my memory is correct, it's like this, right? Or no, I think this is the... Listen, it's not relevant. This square that's like Pythagoras is known for, he actually learned that in magic school, life school, whatever you want to call it, that was in Kemet in ancient Egypt, or in the area of where in the area of where Egypt is now, but it was much bigger. So I think also Ethiopia, Eritrea, probably Somalia as well, were within what was known as Kemet. And they had schools, educational systems. Usually that took 30 years to finish. And you can do your own research about this if you want to. If you don't want to take my word for it, you can do your own research. And yeah, so whenever I hear that something is from Greece, I'm like, okay, but it's actually from Kemet. Just that in our society, as far back as we are willing to go, from my experience with Western education, I was born and raised in Norway, and I learned about most of like education stuff that I know from Norwegian schooling. And there's always some old guy that has done this, done that. We have electricity because of this guy, Darwin, Newton, all of these people, etc., etc., Pythagoras. So I'm really interested to know. I feel like I want to study language as well and learn more about what psychology would be in ancient Kemetian girl. But we can do that. We can search up psychology in Kemet. Now the thing about the Kemetic school and why it was 30 years and so much different from what I have learned, from how we learn in today's society, is that it wasn't grouped up in subjects in the same way as we have it. Like you have maths, and then you have science, and then you have biology, physics, chemistry, and then etc. etc. There it was, they had a holistic approach to it, which is how honestly I feel like we should do it. At the same time, I don't feel like there should be one way of doing anything, like one right or one wrong way. I feel like it should be a trial and error kind of thing. And if something works for you, then you keep working with that. And if it doesn't work for you, then you should be allowed the freedom, because why not? To find a way that works for you so everyone can learn as effective as possible. Yeah, I fell out of what I was doing. So let's see. I just searched psychology in Kemet, and then we got this one that says the African Psychological Director of Behavioral Medicine from. Okay, no, this is not what I was interested in. Like it came up black magic. That's not what I'm searching for, bro. I'm searching for psychology. This one is called Black Psychology on Wikipedia. African, also called African psychology, is an African cosmological lens applied to social and psychological phenomena. This is approached from two perspectives. The first perspective considers these aspects and theories as universal, which means that the lens is appropriate in studying all human beings, not just those of African heritage. The thing is, you know what, I'm just gonna leave there. This approach was embodied in early efforts by Black scholars to challenge the assumption that African Americans were inferior. Over time, it grew also. Okay, so this is after the fact, after slavery, all of that. That's the thing. When you want to find history of Africa from before slavery, most of it is gone. Most of it is gone, and it doesn't make sense if you look back at it. Asia, African, Asia, South America, even North America, Europe, they all have their own traditions, cultures, and religion. Most important, religion. Now, Africa is so culturally rich, okay? Like most of the music that we have today and all of that stems from Africa. Drums, like being around the fire, the bonfire, tribals, all of that from Africa. How come when you ask if about like a ancient African religion, it is like usually you'll get a blank stare, like what do you mean? We're Christians. I know that you're Christians today, but what was your religion before the white man came to your land? But this is not what we're supposed to be talking about, psychology. I think I'm gonna leave it here, and this is like a little sneak peek or like a bite of what the self-study is gonna be about, a little inblick, like a little glance into my mind, how I think, how I'm going to be approaching this self-study thing. I have a couple different books. Like I went to the library and got this one. This is Sigmund Freud, another old white guy, or he wasn't old all the time, but another white guy. If you search up psychology, he's one of the first names that pop up. But another name that popped up that intrigued me is Jung. So I bought this book actually, and I have been enjoying reading about him so much. There's a couple of words that I've been struggling with. So what I do is, as I read twice, so I go chapter by chapter. I did this, the first 3 chapters, 3 days, and then I left the book alone for like a week now. But I'll get back to it today. So basically, I read through the first time, write down any difficult words that I don't know, and then I go through all the words, translate them, or write the explanation for them, put them in the back here, and then in the morning or in the evening, depending, I'll read over it again with my microphone and record what I'm reading, just because it allows me to speak out loud and I'll remember it easier, and also because I like using the microphone. I like feeling like in a studio and stuff, you know. Just make it more fun. And yeah. So I'm gonna leave it here. I feel like I've been talking for a while. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I didn't really say an intro or anything for this video because I wasn't planning on uploading it. But then as I started, I was like, you know what? Let me just upload it because why not? So yes, I'm gonna be looking more into this, and best believe I'll be having a following or upfollowing video to this. Probably titled self-study or something. I'm gonna have a series called self-study, and then everything that I'll do, everything that this thing wants to spit out, I'm gonna just let it roam free. Okay, peace out, stay jamming, stay loving all night.